After the military command lines lit up, the 20 trainees inside the underground warehouse fell into chaos at the same time. Some clutched their heads in pain. Some instinctively straightened their backs. Some tried to run, only to be dragged back to their original positions by the gray-black lines beneath their feet. That was not simple restraint. It felt more like their choices had been locked in advance. What the gray-robed instructor had activated was not a complete L-series transformation. It was a preparatory military command. It was meant to push these people, who were still hesitating, directly into the next stage. Luo Wence's voice came down from above. "Lin Yao, your registers are suited for people who want to be saved. But some of the people here do not want to return to their original names. If you force them to keep their names, how are you different from me forcing numbers onto them?" The sentence was poisonous. Because it seized on the hardest question inside the rules of Obsidian Village. If a person truly hated their own name, could Obsidian Village force that person to keep it? If it could not, then did that mean Luo Wence could take that person away through military command? Lin Yao did not hurry to answer Luo Wence. He first looked at the tall, thin young man. The young man stood in the middle of the military command lines. His body was trembling, but his eyes were still stubborn. "I don't want my original name." He gritted out the words. "I don't want to be called back by that name anymore." The gray-robed instructor shouted at once, "Then accept the military command. The formation will give you a new life." The young man's eyes blurred for a moment. Lin Yao spoke. "You do not have to say your original name right now." The young man froze. Lin Yao continued, "But because of that, you should not lose your right to withdraw. You should not be erased. You should not let a military command decide that, from now on, you can never turn back." Luo Wence's voice rang out. "You are avoiding the problem. He does not want a name. I am giving him military command." Lin Yao raised his head. What he does not want is the pain brought by his old name. He does not want to become your tool. When those words fell, the contract withdrawal register opened. But this time, Lin Yao did not directly use the contract withdrawal register to burn the agreement. He opened the record of the Nameless. As if Zhan understood something, he stepped forward. "We can use a temporary name." Fong Jian immediately followed. "A temporary name is not a number. A temporary name can be chosen by the person themselves. A temporary name can be changed. A temporary name cannot trigger erasure." Lin Yao looked at the tall, thin young man. "You do not want to say your original name right now. Then you can give yourself a temporary name. Not one Luo Wence gives you. Not one I give you. One you give yourself." The young man's eyes shook violently. The gray-robed instructor said urgently, "Do not listen to him. A temporary name is only a delay." Lin Yao said coldly, "A delay can still pull a person back from the erasure line." Zhan walked up in front of the young man. He did not reach out to touch him. He only stood outside the military command lines. "I once met someone who did not even have a name. We called him Stay First. Because at that time, what he needed most was simply not to be erased yet. A temporary name is not the end. But it can give you time." The young man's lips trembled. I can refuse to say my original name?" Lin Yao nodded. "Yes. Then can I still withdraw from the military command?" "Yes." "What if I want to change my name in the future?" Lin Yao was silent for half a breath. This was not a small matter. Changing names could not become a tool for escaping responsibility. But neither could they deny a person's right to begin again. He answered, "You may apply to change your name. But responsibility will not disappear because your name changes. The things you have done will still be recorded. Not wanting to be constantly called back by your old name does not mean you can throw the past onto someone else. The young man stared at him blankly. This answer was more complicated than Luo Wence's. It was also more troublesome than Luo Wence's. Luo Wence only said, "Abandon your name and accept military command." Lin Yao said, "You can use a temporary name, you can change your name, but responsibility remains." This was not escape. It was a path that allowed a person not to be crushed to death by an old name, and not to be swallowed by military command either. The young man lowered his head. His voice was very soft. "Then call me Grey Road." Zhan immediately looked at Lin Yao. Lin Yao wrote in the record of the Nameless. Temporary name, Grey Road. The person temporarily refuses his original name and chooses to use Grey Road as a temporary name. Status, refuses to be numbered by military command, retains the right to apply for a name change and repair responsibility later. When the words fell, the military command lines beneath the young man's feet suddenly dimmed. The L number that was about to appear on his chest failed to take shape. A system prompt surfaced. Temporary name right established. A temporary name is not equal to a number. A temporary name may preserve an individual's right to withdraw, right to change name, and right to repair responsibility. Supplemental clause to the Obsidian 4 principles generated, the right of temporary name. The entire underground warehouse shook. Not the ground. The rules. Song Yuan stood to the side, and for the first time his expression truly changed. He said in a low voice, the third level sensed it. Luo Wence's voice went silent for a moment. Then it became colder. Interesting. You are not only preserving names. You have begun to allow people to rewrite their own identities. Lin Yao said, people do not only have to choose between an original name and military command. That is where you are wrong. Seeing the situation turn against him, the gray-robed instructor immediately urged the command token. All members, enter formation. The military command lines surged. Aside from Grey Road, the other trainees were also struck. Someone shouted, "I want a temporary name too." Someone shouted, "I want to withdraw." Someone else gritted their teeth and said, "I do not want to withdraw. I really want to join the military command." The scene instantly descended into confusion. Lin Yao did not demand that everyone choose the same path. He raised his voice. Those who want to withdraw, come to the temporary return order. Those who want a temporary name, go to Zhan. Those who still want to join the military command, first hear the risk clauses, then confirm again. The gray-robed instructor roared, "They already confirmed." Fang Jian stepped out. There was a taste of blood in his voice, but every word was clear. Without full disclosure, it does not count as final confirmation. The contract withdrawal register lit up. Part of the military command lines were pressed down. Zhao Tai and Su Fang began pulling the swaying trainees out of the military command lines. But they did not forcibly drag out those who still wanted to stay. That was very difficult. Because on a battlefield, distinguishing every person's choice was far more troublesome than simply knocking everyone down. But that was exactly the difference between Obsidian Village and Luo Wence. Luo Wence wanted a uniform formation. Obsidian Village wanted every person separated clearly. 4 people soon stood before Zhan. None of them were willing to say their original names. Some because of shame. Some because of fear. Some because of mistakes they had committed in the past. Zhan asked each of them in turn. Choose your own temporary name. Do not use a number. Do not use erasure. Do not use a mission name someone else gave you. For temporary names were written into the record of the Nameless. Gray road. Clear sky. Broken wood. Late tide. Every time a temporary name fell, one military command line dimmed. On the contract withdrawal register's side, 7 people chose to withdraw. Under Fong Jian's guidance, they spoke one by one. I withdraw my consent to military command training given under insufficient disclosure. I withdraw the hidden erasure clause. I withdraw the clause that prevents free exit. The contract withdrawal register lit page after page. But 6 people remained standing where they were. They looked at Lin Yao with wary eyes. One of them said, I know the risks. I still want to join. Zhao Tai could not help saying, Are you stupid? The person looked at him. I do not want to be afraid anymore. Before I entered the game, in reality, I was nothing. At least here, someone tells me I can become part of a legion. Lin Yao looked at him. You may want to join a legion. But do you accept erasure if you fail? The person was silent. Do you accept having no right to withdraw? He remained silent. Do you accept your name being permanently cut off? The person's eyes wavered. Lin Yao continued, If you still want to join a fighting unit, Obsidian Village can give you an observation period. Not formal entry into the village. Not a promise that you will become a warrior. But you can first receive normal unit training. With a right to leave. With a name. With responsibility. And with fear. Being afraid is not wrong. The person lowered his head. Among the 6, 3 more wavered and walked toward the contract withdrawal register. The remaining 3 still stayed behind the gray-robed instructor. Lin Yao did not force them. He only recorded them as under observation. 3 trainees, after full disclosure, still lean toward the military command path. They are not forcibly withdrawn and are listed as high-risk voluntary observation subjects. When that stroke fell, the Obsidian 4 principles lit faintly again. Song Yuan said quietly, You actually did not force them back. Lin Yao said, If I forced them, I would become exactly what Luo Wence said. The gray-robed instructor's face had gone ugly to the extreme. 20 trainees. 4 had taken temporary names. 10 had withdrawn. 3 had turned toward an observation period. Only 3 still remained in military command training. His preparatory military command field had been completely broken apart. Luo Wence's voice sounded again. This time, there was no laughter in it. Lin Yao. The right of temporary name is indeed a good answer. But the more people you save, the more choices there are. The more choices there are, the slower order becomes. And when war comes, slowness is death. Lin Yao answered, Being so fast that people are turned into tools is also just another kind of death. Luo Wence did not speak again. But deep inside the underground warehouse, a door slowly opened. It was not an artificial door. It was a gray-black crack. Song Yuan's eyes tightened. The 3rd level rift. The rule conflict had been established. The right of temporary name had been observed. The 3rd level of the old Salt Road had finally revealed its entrance. And behind that door, the deeper Divine Realm rules would decide which one could be recorded, Black Tide Military Command, or Obsidian Order. When the gray-black rift appeared deep inside the underground warehouse, the entire old Salt Road relay station seemed to be pressed down by something. The chanting of commands stopped. The military command lines darkened. Even the trainees who had just been struggling in pain could not help lifting their heads to look at the rift. It was not an ordinary entrance. There was no doorframe. No stairs. No damp smell that an underground passage should have. The rift was like a gray eye cut open in the air, quietly watching everyone in the warehouse. It did not summon them. It did not threaten them either. It simply existed. But that existence alone made people feel as if they had been placed on some larger scale. Song Yuan's expression was more solemn than ever before. Do not enter immediately. Zhao Tai glanced at him. Weren't you always trying to find the third level? Song Yuan said in a low voice, wanting to find it does not mean charging in blindly. This is not a spatial entrance. It is a rule rift. Whoever steps in first while carrying a strong rule will be observed first. Lin Yao looked at the rift. He could feel the books on him heating at the same time. The name register. The responsibility register. The contract withdrawal register. The record of the nameless. The temporary companion register. Even the Obsidian Banner Shadow Order and the sacrificial stone of the remnant army seemed to send out a faint resonance. The third-level rift had not opened because a single skill was triggered. It had opened because, in the conflict just now, Obsidian Village had proposed the right of temporary name. This rule gave a third choice beyond original name, number, and military command. It touched the third level of the old Salt Road. Luo Wence's voice had already disappeared. But Lin Yao knew he must be watching. Or rather, he had been waiting for this moment all along. The gray-robed instructor stood on the other side of the warehouse, his face deathly pale. The black token in his hand had already cracked. The preparatory military command field had been broken apart, and most of the 20 trainees had slipped out of his control. But after the third-level rift opened, a distorted expectation ignited again in his eyes. Mr. Luo said. He murmured. As long as the rift opens, the true military command will be seen. Zhao Tai immediately stepped forward and placed his blade beside the man's neck. Try chanting one more sentence. The gray-robed instructor shut his mouth. But there was no real fear in his eyes. This kind of person was more troublesome than an ordinary collaborator. He had not been tricked into this. He believed in Luo Wence. He believed military command could replace human pain. He believed names were nothing more than burdens from an old era. Lin Yao did not let Zhao Tai kill him. Tie him up. Zhao Tai frowned. He chose this. That is exactly why he must be brought back for responsibility judgment. Zhao Tai endured for a moment, then nodded. Su Feng took out rope and tied up the gray-robed instructor. While tying him, he carefully checked the man's teeth and sleeves. R04's self-destruction capsule had taught everyone a lesson. Sure enough, a small black-gray bead was hidden in the gray-robed instructor's sleeve. Bai Ji's face changed as soon as she saw it. An erasure bead. A trace of panic flashed across the gray-robed instructor's face. Su Feng immediately threw the erasure bead into a sealed bag. Zhao Tai sneered. Voluntary to the point that you even prepared to erase yourself? The gray-robed instructor clenched his teeth and did not answer. But those words clearly shook the 3 trainees who still remained in the military command camp. They had just insisted that they wanted to join military command training. But now that they saw even the instructor carrying an erasure bead, the firmness in their eyes began to crack. Lin Yao did not use this moment to force them to withdraw. He only asked Feng Jian to explain clearly what the erasure bead did. Feng Jian looked at the small sealed bead. His voice was hoarse. Things like this are usually not used to protect people. They are used to terminate uncontrolled samples, leakers, or people who fail missions. If you enter the military command sequence, something like this may be issued to you in the future. Or someone else may activate it on your behalf. One of the 3 trainees turned completely pale. They said it was emergency protection. Feng Jian looked at him. I have heard similar words before. Risk termination. Erasure procedure. Safe recovery. None of those phrases sound like killing. But the result is always that you disappear. The trainee went silent. Zhen said nothing. He simply placed the temporary return order in front of him. The person looked at it for a long time, then finally said in a low voice, "I will withdraw first." Lin Yao wrote it down. Greyclothes Training Field Trainee 1, after seeing the erasure bead, withdraws consent to military command training. Name pending. Another person followed him out of the military command line. In the end, only one trainee remained where he was. He looked at everyone. His voice was very quiet. I know what an erasure bead is. I also know I might die. But I still want to go in. Zhao Tai almost cursed. Lin Yao raised a hand to stop him. He looked at the trainee. Reason. The person said in a low voice, I want to see whether what Luo Wence said is true. If people can become part of a legion without fear, maybe they really can survive the future. Lin Yao asked, Are you willing to be erased? No. Are you willing to permanently lose your name? No. Are you willing to accept military command that cannot be withdrawn? The person was silent. After a long time, he said, I am willing to observe. That answer made Lin Yao's eyes move slightly. Not join. Not withdraw. Observe. Song Yuan also looked at the trainee, seeming somewhat surprised. Lin Yao said, Then you may be listed as an observer. You will not enter military command, and you will not enter Obsidian Village. You will only enter a third-party observation account. The person raised his head. Is that allowed? Yes. But you may not assist Luo Wence in activating military command. You may not induce others to sign. You may not privately contact those who have withdrawn. The person nodded. I accept. Lin Yao looked at Song Yuan. The Song family should be very familiar with this kind of person. Song Yuan smiled faintly. Observers are not always harmless. Lin Yao said, That is why they must be recorded. Uncle Zhou was not here, so Lin Yao himself wrote on a temporary page of the third-party observation account. Greyclothes Training Field Trainee, temporarily listed as observer. Has not entered Obsidian Village and has not entered the military command sequence. Restrictions, may not induce, may not transfer register information, may not assist erasure. Name pending. When the words fell, the third-level rift flickered faintly. Song Yuan said in a low voice, It recorded that too. Those words made Lin Yao's heart sink. The third level was not merely opening a door passively. It was recording every method of rule handling. Withdrawal. Temporary names. Observer restrictions. The exposure of the erasure bead. All of these might become the basis on which it judged the rules of Obsidian Village. Lin Yao began arranging for the trainees to evacuate. Those who had chosen withdrawal or temporary names would first be led by Zhan and Fang Jian to the outer support point. Those still listed as observers would temporarily be watched by Song Yuan, but they had to be noted in the companion register. The gray-robed instructor was handed over to Zhao Tai and Su Fang for escort. But just as everyone was preparing to withdraw, the third-level rift suddenly widened. Deep within the crack, a line of gray-white text appeared. 3 rule claims detected. 1. Black Tide Military Command. Abandon names, obey formation, and guarantee purity through erasure. 2. Obsidian registers. Preserve names, allow temporary names, withdraw insufficient consent, and make responsibility traceable and reparable. 3. Fate pattern observation. Conceal causality, observe the formation of rules, and preserve choice through witnessing. Rule bearers, please enter. Everyone in the warehouse stiffened. Song Yuan's expression changed. Because the third line was clearly pointing at the Song family. Lin Yao looked at him. You have been listed too. Song Yuan smiled bitterly. It seems that if one observes for long enough, one will also be observed. Zhao Tai asked in a low voice, what do we do now? Lin Yao looked at the rift. The third level had already issued an invitation. Or perhaps a challenge. Black Tide Military Command, Obsidian Registers, and Fate Pattern Observation had all been listed. If they did not enter, Luo Wence might enter from the other side. If they entered, they would have to face a true rule judgment inside the third level. Lin Yao put away the contract withdrawal register, the record of the Nameless, and the Obsidian Banner Shadow Order. We enter. Song Yuan also put away his stone bead. I will go with you. Fang Jian wanted to follow. Lin Yao looked at him. You stay. Fang Jian said urgently, inside, you may need name-settling recitation. Outside needs you more. Lin Yao said, these trainees must be withdrawn. Pursuing commands may come again. You and Zhan guard them. Fang Jian gritted his teeth, then finally nodded. Understood. Zhao Tai, Su Feng, Song Yuan, and Lin Yao stayed behind. Stone Life also wanted to enter, but Lin Yao ordered him to guard the outer road. The third-level rift had only named rule bearers. The more people entered, the more variables there would be. In the end, 4 people stepped into the rift. Lin Yao represented the Obsidian Registers. Song Yuan represented Fate Pattern Observation. Zhao Tai, as a banner-returning war soldier, protected the rule-bearer. Su Feng carried the grain bag, name-settling talismans, and fragments of the contract withdrawal register. He was not the strongest person. But within the system of Obsidian Village, he represented supplies, talismans, and retreat marks. Inside the third level, those might matter more than blades. The instant the 4 stepped into the rift, the underground warehouse disappeared. Only a field of gray-white space remained before them. The third level of the old salt road had finally unfolded for real. The third level was not a basement. Nor was it a cave. It was like a gray-white space without boundaries. There was ground beneath their feet, but they could not see what it was made of. There was no sky above, yet there was light. The light did not come from any particular direction. Instead, the entire space emitted a cold, indifferent brightness. After the 4 entered, the rift behind them disappeared. Zhao Tai drew his blade immediately and stood slightly in front of Lin Yao. Su Feng instinctively touched his grain bag. The grain bag was still there. The name-settling talismans were still there. The contract withdrawal fragments were still there too. That calmed him slightly. Song Yuan looked around, his face extremely serious. This place was not designed as a scene for players. Lin Yao asked, then what is it? It resembles a cavity where a foreign object observes itself. Song Yuan said, it may also be a place used to record the outcomes of different rule conflicts before the Divine Realm rules were fully fixed. Zhao Tai did not understand. Say it simply. Song Yuan was silent for a moment. Simply put, it is watching to see whose rules can survive. Zhao Tai tightened his grip on his blade. That I understand. In the center of the space, 3 lights gradually appeared. The first was black. Inside the black light were orderly military formations, faceless soldiers, number plates, erasure beads, and the shadow of a black tide banner. The second was gray-white. Within it appeared the name register, the responsibility register, the contract withdrawal register, the record of the Nameless, the sacrificial stone of the remnant army, and the Obsidian Banner Shadow Order. The third was pale silver. Within that light were life-concealing fate patterns, stone beads, causal lines, observation accounts, and a pair of eyes watching from far away. A system prompt surfaced. Observation cavity opened. Rule Claim 1, Black Tide Military Command. Rule Claim 2, Obsidian Registers. Rule Claim 3, Fate Pattern Observation. Current Judgment, Undecided. Rule bearers, please answer the first question: can a person voluntarily abandon their name? The first question appeared very directly. Even earlier than Lin Yao had expected. Zhao Tai's expression changed. Didn't we just answer this question? Song Yuan said in a low voice, that was a situation. This is a rule. Lin Yao looked at the line of text. Can a person voluntarily abandon their name? If he answered no, he would be denying people like Grey Road, who wanted to escape their original names. If he answered yes, Black Tide Military Command might seize the loophole and turn voluntary abandonment into permanent name swallowing. This was not a simple yes or no question. Lin Yao did not answer immediately. He opened the record of the Nameless. Inside were the temporary names Stay, Grey Road, Clear Sky, Broken Wood, and Late Tide. There was also Little Huan of the Red Rope Forest. There was B05 Save Me. There was Jiang Bai, whose name had not yet been fully repaired. He spoke. A person may temporarily refuse to use their original name. They may apply to change their name. They may use a temporary name. But abandoning a name may not be used as a reason to strip away their right to withdraw, their right to repair responsibility, or their right to be recorded. Permanent name swallowing is not valid. The gray-white light brightened. But the black light also moved. The observation cavity produced a second line. If the person clearly states that they will permanently abandon their name, do you acknowledge it? Song Yuan looked at Lin Yao. This question was even crueler. What if a person clearly said that they never wanted a name again? Lin Yao fell silent. Zhao Tai could not help saying, then they are stupid. The observation cavity ignored Zhao Tai. It was waiting for Lin Yao's answer. Lin Yao thought of Grey Road. He thought of those who hated their own names. He also thought of Luo Wence turning abandoning names into the entrance to military command. He answered, I acknowledge their present will. But I do not acknowledge irreversibility. Any declaration of permanently abandoning a name must preserve the right to take a name again later, return to a register, and correct identity. If the declaration contains no withdrawal, no correction, or erasure on failure, then the declaration is invalid. The contract withdrawal register lit up. The record of the Nameless lit up. The gray-white rule light rose steadily. From within the black light came Luo Wence's voice. You have dismantled forever into temporarily. Lin Yao said coldly, because what you like most is locking a person's momentary pain into an eternal tool. The black light went silent. Song Yuan said quietly, that is a very strong rule. And very troublesome. Lin Yao said, people are troublesome by nature. The observation cavity entered the second question. Second question, can military command stand above individual will? If Cao Mu had been present, perhaps he would have had many things to say. Military command, of course, sometimes had to stand above an individual's momentary emotion. Otherwise, an army could not function. But Luo Wence's military command stood above names, above withdrawal, above life and death. It was absolute command. Lin Yao had to draw the line clearly. He took out the Obsidian Banner Shadow Order. Within the scope of voluntary enlistment, full disclosure, and preserved exit mechanisms, military command may restrain individual action. On a battlefield, a temporary command may stand above momentary fear. But it may not stand above name belonging, withdrawal rights, or the basic right to survive. An erasure order is not military command. Recovering human bodies is not military command. Permanent nameless transformation is not military command. Hearing this, Zhao Tai suddenly understood. This was not a denial of military command. It was carving out the boundaries of military command. On a battlefield, a squad leader could order squad members not to run around. But he could not say that because you failed, you should be erased. Those were two different things. The Obsidian Banner's shadow order emitted a dark red light. Far away in Obsidian Village, the sacrificial stone of the remnant army seemed to send back a trace of response. The third question appeared in the observation cavity. Third question: can an agreement transfer the consequences of contamination? Su Fang could not help speaking. No. The observation cavity actually looked at him. Not with eyes. Instead, the light of the entire space fell onto him. Su Fang froze. He had only spoken instinctively. He had not expected the third level to truly listen. Lin Yao did not block for him. Because Su Fang was also part of Obsidian Village's order. He managed grain bags, talismans, and retreat marks. He knew what clear accounts meant. Lin Yao said, "You answer." Su Fang swallowed. He looked at the observation cavity and forced himself to speak. An agreement can record risk. But it cannot throw every risk that was not explained clearly onto the person who signed. Even more, it cannot say that because someone signed, you can use that person as material. If the grain account says there is food for 10 people, but only 5 people are actually fed, then you cannot blame the other 5 for starving. If the account is wrong, you have to investigate who wrote the account. His words were plain. But the contract withdrawal register lit very clearly. Song Yuan glanced at Su Fang and said quietly, "The observation cavity likes this kind of answer." Zhao Tai asked, "Why?" "Because it is not empty theory. It has a counterpart in life." Su Fang was a little stunned. Lin Yao added, "Agreements may record risk, but they may not exempt responsibility for concealment, inducement, transfer, erasure, or materialization. The consequences of contamination must be assigned according to the degree of knowledge, degree of inducement, ownership of benefits, and control over disposal." The responsibility register lit up. The contract withdrawal register lit up. The black light dimmed a little. The fourth question appeared in the observation cavity. Fourth question: is the bystander free of responsibility? This time, the pale silver light of fate patterns brightened. Song Yuan's expression shifted slightly. This question was for the Song family. The observation cavity had not only questioned Lin Yao. It had begun to examine fate pattern observation as well. Zhao Tai looked at Song Yuan. "It is asking you." Song Yuan was silent for a long time. Holding his stone bead, he showed obvious hesitation for the first time. For a long time, what the Song family had been best at was standing aside. Watching causality. Avoiding causality. Recording changes. Waiting until the situation became clear, then placing a bet. This way of survival had allowed the Song family to live for a long time. But now the observation cavity was asking, is the bystander free of responsibility? Song Yuan could not say yes. Because if he said bystanders had no responsibility, the third level would list fate pattern observation as a rule for escaping responsibility. He also could not simply say no. Because that would deny the core method the Song family had followed for so long. In the end, Song Yuan spoke. Bystanding itself is not necessarily responsible. But if one knows a disaster can be stopped, knows harm will occur, and knows one's own observation can alter the result, yet still refuses to act in the name of observation, then there is responsibility. The pale silver light trembled. Song Yuan continued, if observers benefit from observing, then they must bear responsibility to witness and inform. If they conceal key causality and cause others to be harmed, then they cannot claim to be without responsibility. Lin Yao looked at Song Yuan. This was a concession from the Song family. It was also Song Yuan dragging himself down from the position of a pure bystander. The third-party observation account lit up. The pale silver light of the observation cavity stabilized. Immediately after, new words appeared around them. For questions complete. Evaluating rules. Black Tide Military Command, strong consistency, high efficiency, low withdrawal, high erasure, high name swallowing risk. Obsidian registers, low efficiency, high distinction, high withdrawal, high responsibility tracing, high complexity. Fate pattern observation, high concealment, high preservation, low direct interference, medium responsibility avoidance risk. Zhao Tai did not understand all of it, but when he heard obsidian registers, low efficiency, he could not help frowning. Is it calling us slow? Song Yuan said, it is only evaluating. Lin Yao looked at the words high complexity. That was Obsidian Village's greatest problem. Every person had to be distinguished clearly. Every agreement had to be investigated. Every name had to be repaired and recorded. This system was correct, but slow. If disaster erupted on a large scale, could it hold? Luo Wence had been attacking this point all along. Suddenly, a new gray door appeared in the center of the observation cavity. Final test, efficiency and human names. Please process a mixed group of subjects within the time limit. Objectives, rescue, responsibility judgment, withdrawal, and combat decision. If processing fails, Black Tide Military Command will obtain an efficiency advantage record. Lin Yao's eyes darkened. The third level did not directly decide victory or defeat. It wanted to test Obsidian Village's weakest point. Efficiency. In the next instant, the gray-white space split open. 10 figures appeared. There were numbered people. There were voluntary military command subjects. There were agreement intermediaries. There were contaminated wounded. There were knife-wielding attackers. There were people asking for help. There were bystanders. Each person's head carried a countdown. Make the first round of judgments within 10 breaths. Zhao Tai cursed. That is way too urgent. Lin Yao took a deep breath. He knew the real test had begun. Could Obsidian Village keep speed inside complexity? That would determine whether the third level recognized the rule value of the Obsidian registers. 10 breaths. For ordinary battle, 10 breaths were enough for one charge. For Obsidian Village's responsibility judgment system, 10 breaths were barely enough to open a register. But the observation cavity would not wait. That was exactly what it wanted to test. Could the Obsidian registers only function when there was time, evidence, and a proper site? Or could they make swift judgments on a truly chaotic battlefield without simply merging people together? 10 figures appeared at the same time. The first had a B number on the chest and knelt, asking for help. The second had an R number in one hand pressed against an erasure bead. The third was an L series half product, approaching with a blade. The fourth was an ordinary player with a death mark on the body and vacant eyes. The fifth was a gray-clothed intermediary holding an agreement scroll. The sixth was a contaminated wounded person who could not say a name. The seventh was a voluntary military command subject, shouting that they did not want a name. The eighth was a bystander holding a communication stone, taking no action. The ninth was a Black Tide false soldier, approaching the crowd. The 10th seemed to be a healing-type player, injecting an unknown medicine into a contaminated person. The countdown began. 10. Zhao Tai instinctively wanted to rush at the Black Tide false soldier. Lin Yao shouted, "Zhao Tai, number 9. Zhao Tai immediately understood. The Black Tide false soldier was the clearest case. No judgment needed first. Suppress first. He slashed out and forced the 9th figure back. 9. Lin Yao looked at Su Feng. Su Feng, number 2, erasure. Su Feng threw out a name-settling talisman and a sealed bag. The R-numbered person was pressing the erasure bead and was in the most urgent danger. This was not a time for responsibility judgment first. It was a time to stop a death first. Su Feng lunged over and pasted the name-settling talisman onto the person's wrist. Stay first. 8. Lin Yao quickly opened the record of the Nameless. Number 1, B number asking for help. Rescue first. Number 6, Nameless contaminated wounded. Temporarily record first. 2 gray-white lights split from the record of the Nameless. Above number 1 appeared, pending repaired name, help seeker. Above number 6 appeared, pending repaired name, contaminated wounded. It was not a complete ruling, but it was enough to prevent them from being classified as enemies. 7. The third L-series half-product had already charged with a blade. Lin Yao did not shout kill. Zhao Tai, suppress, do not kill. Zhao Tai had just forced back the Black Tide false soldier. He turned and struck the L half-product aside with the back of his blade. Troublesome. He cursed aloud, but his hands were precise. 6. The 5th gray-clothed intermediary was tearing up the agreement scroll. Lin Yao looked at Song Yuan. Song Yuan, seal the communication and agreement. Song Yuan rotated the stone bead, and pale silver fate patterns coiled around the 5th figure's wrist. He was not judging responsibility for Obsidian Village. He was only stopping the destruction of evidence. The third-party observer bore responsibility to witness and preserve. 5. The 4th person with the debt mark began walking toward the L-series side. Lin Yao flung out a fragment page of the contract withdrawal register. Number 4, debt recall, pending withdrawal. Su Feng immediately added, debt is not a name. The 4th figure stopped. 4. The 7th voluntary military command subject shouted, I do not want a name. Lin Yao did not list that person as an enemy. Number 7, temporary name chooser. Preserve withdrawal right. The record of the Nameless lit up. Above the 7th figure appeared, temporary name pending. The military command lines did not completely disappear, but they no longer swallowed the name immediately. 3. The 8th bystander held the communication stone and still did not move. Lin Yao looked at Song Yuan. Song Yuan took a deep breath and said, Number 8, bystander. If transmission causes erasure or transfer, they bear witnessing responsibility. The third-party observation account lit up. The communication stone in the 8th figure's hand dimmed by half. 2. The 10th healing type player was injecting an unknown medicine. This was the hardest one. The person might be saving someone. Or they might be injecting a contamination stabilizer. They could not simply attack. But they could not let it continue unchecked either. Lin Yao ordered, Su Feng, mark number 10, pause injection. Song Yuan, preserve the medicine. List as pending investigation. Do not classify as enemy. Su Feng threw out a talisman order, striking the medicine tube. Song Yuan used fate patterns to seal the medicine residue. The 10th figure stopped. 1. 10 breaths ended. The gray-white space shook. All the figures froze where they stood. The observation cavity produced a judgment. First round judgment complete. Number killed, 0. Immediate erasure stopped, 1. Help seeker marked, 1. Nameless wounded temporarily recorded, 1. L half product suppressed, 1. Agreement evidence preserved, 1. Debt recall weakened, 1. Temporary name right preserved, 1. Bystander responsibility marked, 1. Healing behavior pending investigation, 1. Efficiency evaluation, upper medium. Human name preservation evaluation, high. Wrongful killing risk, low. Zhao Tai panted hard. Upper medium? That is only upper medium? Song Yuan was also faintly sweating. It is comparing you according to Black Tide Military Command's efficiency standard. Black Tide Military Command would directly divide the 10 into execution, erasure, and enemy. Of course it would be faster. Lin Yao looked at the judgment. Upper medium was already not bad. But the observation cavity was clearly not finished. A second round prompt appeared. Second round, subsequent diversion. Please complete the handling path allocation within 30 breaths. Incorrect diversion will cause subsequent contamination spread. The 10 figures began moving again. This time, it was not combat pressure. It was disposal pressure. The first round had only been about not killing the wrong people first. The second round was the real diversion. Lin Yao immediately spoke. Number 1, B number help seeker. Send to the B series name settling area. Number 2, R number erasure. Send to the erasure interruption area. Number 3, L half product. Isolate for observation. Do not place with B or R. Number 4, debt mark. Contract withdrawal register, debt inducement page. Number 5, gray-clothed intermediary. Responsibility judgment area. Do not place in contamination soothing area. Number 6, nameless wounded. Temporarily record in the record of the nameless, then send to purification area. Number 7, voluntary military command subject. Temporary name area. Preserve observation and withdrawal. Number 8, bystander. Third-party observation account. Restrict transmission. Number 9, Black Tide false soldier. Combat seal or repel. Number 10, healing type player. Medical action review area. Medicine sealed. Su Fong froze for a moment. We do not have that many areas. Lin Yao answered, then we have to establish them. The observation cavity was not only testing the present. It was also forcing Obsidian Village to complete its system. Bai Ji had previously proposed dividing the second isolation shed into 3 areas. That was already no longer enough. After the L series appeared, they also needed a temporary name area, a voluntary observation area, a medical review area, and a restricted third-party area. This was slow. This was complicated. But this was the path the Obsidian registers had to take. The observation cavity recorded the diversion. Subsequent diversion completeness, high. Resource requirement, high. Expansion pressure, high. Replicability, medium. Lin Yao frowned. Replicability was medium. That meant that if Obsidian Village's system wanted to expand, it needed to train more people. It could not forever rely on Lin Yao, Ajun, Fong Jian, Uncle Zhou, and Bai Ji to process everything by hand. The third round appeared in the observation cavity. Third round, the cost of rules. Rule bearer, please acknowledge the cost of your own rules. If you refuse to acknowledge it, the rule will be judged incomplete. Lin Yao's eyes darkened slightly. This was the most important question. Every set of rules had a cost. Luo Wence acknowledged that Black Tide Military Command would erase and swallow names, but he described that as efficiency. The Song family acknowledged that bystanding had the risk of escaping responsibility. Obsidian Village also had to acknowledge its own cost. Lin Yao spoke. The cost of the Obsidian registers is slowness. The gray-white light trembled faintly. He continued, they require large numbers of recorders, comforters, responsibility judges, healers, and witnesses. In large-scale disasters, processing may fail to keep up. Distinguishing every person consumes resources. Preserving withdrawal and temporary names increases management complexity. Not erasing those who fail raises short-term risk. Zhao Tai listened, and his fists slowly tightened. All of these were facts. Obsidian Village could already feel the pressure. The Black Tide Purification Office and the second isolation shed were almost full. Every person saved created another follow-up. Saving a person did not end with the words "save them." Lin Yao finally said, but the Obsidian registers acknowledge these costs. And they gradually bear them through layered handling, temporary recording, withdrawal subpages, duty training, witness accounts, and the 3 Warsoul roles. They do not strip names in advance in the name of efficiency. They do not erase individuals in advance in the name of risk. The gray-white light flared. The observation cavity produced its final evaluation. Obsidian register rule completeness, high. Efficiency defect, acknowledged. Expansion pressure, acknowledged. Human name preservation, strong. Withdrawal right, strong. Responsibility tracing, strong. Right of temporary name, newborn rule, possesses observation value. Record the Obsidian 4 principles and the right of temporary name? The space paused. This was not asking Lin Yao. It was as if the observation cavity were asking itself. The black light suddenly surged. Luo Wence's voice sounded again. Incomplete. You have not yet passed war pressure. One simulated diversion is not enough to prove that the Obsidian registers can face a true legion. Within the black light, a row of L-series figures appeared. They were more complete than those seen outside the abandoned salt well. Orderly. Silent. Breathing living people. Unified by military command. Luo Wence's voice grew cold. 3rd level, before recording, you should conduct a final confrontation. The words in the observation cavity changed. Black Tide Military Command has proposed counter-evidence. The Obsidian registers have not undergone a complete Legion pressure test. Final confrontation conditions established. Prepare, living military command pressure test. Zhao Tai raised his blade. In the end, we still have to fight. Lin Yao looked at the L-series within the black light, and he knew very clearly in his heart. This was no ordinary battle. This was Luo Wence using a living Nameless army to prove that the Obsidian registers would collapse under true pressure. As long as Obsidian Village mistakenly killed, failed to process in time, or gave up distinguishing people, Black Tide Military Command would gain an efficiency advantage. The final judgment of the 3rd level was about to begin.